We are from BAR, Building Assets, Reducing Risks, and we are here specifically to share about BAR and also the Chance Grant opportunity in Alabama. Tashina, let's go to the next one. We are going to try to hit 3 topics today. First of all, a little bit about what BAR is. And we could go on and on and on about BAR, but we have a very limited time today. We have a great website that if you're interested in learning more, you can always learn there. And we will also be able to answer some questions at the end. We'll cover the Chance Grant. We've done some work for you. So if you're interested in applying to fund BAR through the Chance Grant, we've done some pre-work that we want to tell you about, and then next steps. Some quick introductions. As I said, my name is Rob Metz. I'm the Deputy Director of the BAR Center. I was an elementary teacher for 10 years, then became an elementary principal for 16 years, then became a high school principal, and then at the end of my career, a superintendent, all located just next to Minneapolis, Minnesota. One of my great advantages was I was working in the first BAR district in the United States. So it was there when I got there, but I learned a lot from being a BAR administrator and superintendent. And I'm happy to pass that on to other people because I'm a true believer in what it can do for students and for adults. Beth, do you mind going next?
I would love to. Hi, everybody. My name is Beth Heimer, and I am the Associate Director of Elementary Schools. I have been in elementary education my entire career, 25 plus years. I've been a classroom teacher. I have been in admin. I've been in curriculum development, mentoring, and the past few years, I have been working with the BAR Center and helping develop and oversee the elementary schools as a part of the model. So I have to just say, looking at the backgrounds of some of your classrooms is just so, it literally has been a high point of my day. It's just adorable. So thank you for being here, and I'm excited to answer any questions you might have. Candace?
Thank you, Beth. Good afternoon. I'm Candace Robinson, manager of BAR Schools. Prior to joining BAR Center as manager, I was in the classroom just like you all. I worked in middle school for about 5 years, high school for about 7, and also became BAR coordinator at the high school where I was last assigned, which was the first BAR school in the entire state of Tennessee. So had the opportunity of seeing BAR really change the culture of our school and particularly provide best practices around supporting student and teacher relationships and community relationships as well. And so for the past few years, I've been working with BAR also as a regional manager, which involves training and coaching. And now I support all schools in a great capacity within our network, which includes but not limited to providing support to our coaches, as well as our mentor and program. And so it is a pleasure to really be involved with you all today. I think I want to pass this next to Jenny Fox.
Hi, thanks, Candace. So my name's Jenny Fox. I'm here in up north in Minnesota, Stillwater, Minnesota. I'm the Strategic Growth Officer for the BAR Center. And some ways that I help individuals like yourself is through navigating federal programs or grant programs, aligning the model with what the intent is of those programs. So I'm here to help you and serve you in any way that I can. If this program aligns or this model aligns with what you would like to do, I'm here to help and lend a hand. So nice to be here, and thank you.
Thanks, Jenny. And as I said, Tashina is magically working the slides behind the scenes here, but you'll get a chance to meet her at the end. I'm going to have the first few slides, which I'll try to be pretty concise with. If you have questions, just interrupt. Otherwise, as I said, we'll have time at the end, but don't be shy and just interrupt and ask a question as we go. Our tagline is same students, same teachers, better results. And that's important to us because when a school is doing bar, implementing bar, we assign them a coach, and that coach coaches you, the adults at the school, and helps you learn how to implement bar in your school. We believe that the talent is already there. I'm sure you have a talented staff and you have great students, and we don't expect any of that to change. We are coaching you, but we are promising better results with the same students and the same teachers that are currently at your schools. We don't replace anything that you're currently doing. So BAR is really proud of that. We put structures in place that will help BAR be implemented, but will also help everything you're currently doing just be more effective. Everything we've done, we've measured. We've done a tremendous amount of research. We're going to show you a little bit of it in a few slides. And I just wanted to take a minute to let you know that BAR started at one high school in the state of Minnesota, my old high school. And our founder and executive director, Angela Jarabek, was the 9th grade counselor at that school. This model was developed by teachers in a real school. And it worked so well that she started applying for federal dollars to test it. And that's how BAR started to grow. There were other schools from all over the country that agreed to try BAR and be part of the research. And the first several years of BAR, that's what it was. It was all research. It was schools testing it while AIR, our evaluator, the American Institutes for Research, did the evaluation. And that went on for quite a few years. Over the course of that time, the model expanded to the middle school level and then eventually to the elementary school level. And only recently has it become available, I would call it, on the open market. So now it's not just a research study. We've proven that it works. It works in big schools and small schools and rural schools and urban schools. It works everywhere. That part has been done. And now we're at the point where we're sharing it nationwide, and more schools are jumping on board. So I wanted to make sure you knew that little bit of history of where this started and how it's gotten to the place where it is today. The next slide maps out what a school gets when it signs on to do BAR. So first of all, it's important to know that it's a 3-year arrangement. We provide a coach that stays with that school for 3 years and really helps them implement. It's the biggest differentiator from any other program that I've seen, because implementing a program to fidelity is a challenge in a school. I've done it myself and I know that. And there's all kinds of roadblocks that come up.
I'm sorry.
Yes. Question? Okay, I'll keep going. Our coach is the person that's going to help you at your school implement successfully. What does that mean? What does that mean? What does that include? So a dedicated BAR coach that creates reports for you, an annual needs analysis, so we know what goals you're trying to achieve. We do student and teacher surveys. We're always getting feedback from the adults at the school and from the students at the school. You'll get access to a BAR online member portal, which includes access to all kinds of our tools and materials, which is really nice. An SEL curriculum, which at the secondary level is called iTime, and at the elementary level it's called UTime. Beth is going to talk more about that in a moment. We have a proprietary data tracking tool that helps you get organized and keep track of the data that we encourage you to track. Ongoing trainings and professional development. We do 2 days of training before the first year, 2 days before the second year, and 2 days before the third year. And then your coach actually visits your school 10 times over those 3 years to observe your implementation and to give you coaching and support. We have professional learning communities, which are nationwide. All the BAR principals meet 4 times a year on a virtual PLC. And then the person at your school who takes the lead on the implementation process, we call them the coordinator, they meet with other coordinators monthly in a virtual PLC. We give you all kinds of communication support. It's not unusual for our schools to get good publicity because we can help you appear in your local newspaper or get some extra publicity for what you're doing. And then the BAR network, I'll say this later, but we have a national conference every year that we get to bring people to. And we're encouraging you, if you write a chance grant to become a BAR school, to include the cost of coming to our national conference in your budget. And that's the way we've written it for you, because that's a great opportunity to get together with the other BAR schools around the country. The BAR schools feel like they're part of something bigger because they are regularly meeting with and talking to other BAR schools, literally from coast to coast. As I said earlier, we've done a lot of research, many years of research. These two little circle graphs show you some of the impacts. We have about 20 statistically significant outcomes that AIR has documented. So if anyone ever asks, does BAR work? The answer to that is yes. And then the next question is, what can you expect to change? These are some of the things that have changed that AIR has documented. And I won't read them all, but attendance goes up for students, behavior goes down, more credits are earned at secondary schools, test scores go up in reading and math, gaps close at your school between different demographic groups. Lots of good things happen for students, but they also happen for teachers too. Teachers have said, and this is not just them saying it, but AIR documenting it in our research, that teachers believe they're more effective. They feel more supportive. They feel like they can make a difference and their skill sets change. So lots of good things for both students and teachers. And in the upper right-hand corner, these are some of the outside organizations that have accredited BAR. I think it's pretty amazing that BAR gets accredited by what I would call academic organizations like ACT and What Works Clearinghouse, because we show academic gains. But we also get accredited by what I would call social emotional organizations like SAMHSA and CASEL, because we get results there too. So it's very unique that any program can get academic and social emotional outcomes at the same time to the level where these organizations will accreditate you. So it's pretty awesome. The next slide shows what we call our mediation model. When the people at AIR dig back into their data, and after studying us for so long, and tried to answer the question, why does BAR work? Why does this work so well? Here is how they answered it. So along the bottom of this chart, everything that was asterisked are the statistically significant outcomes that came out of our research. You can see some of them are involving adults, some of them are involving students, and some of them are involving academic outcomes. I think the important thing to know about BAR is that the change happens in a left to right motion. The first thing that happens is that teachers perceive their school and their school administrator as more supportive, and they believe they can make a difference. When that happens, their behaviors change. They collaborate better with each other. They use data differently. And we teach them how to use our I-time and U-time lessons to build positive relationships with young people. When that happens, the young people feel it. They feel more supported. They feel more is expected of them, and they feel more engaged. And when that happens, they attend school more and get in trouble less, and they demonstrate better social emotional skills. And when that happens, you get all these great academic outcomes. all of our research was done at 9th grade because that's where BAR started, even though BAR is now a K through 12 model. But you can see in 9th grade, grad rates, math scores, reading scores, core credits earned, higher passing rates, were all the outcomes. The example I often use is some of our schools will say, how did our math scores go up? We didn't change the math curriculum. We didn't change the math teachers. We didn't change the math students. I don't understand why our math scores went up. And the reason is because their students were in school more, got in trouble less, had better social emotional skills, were more engaged, felt more supported. And that all came from our team working with the adults at the school. So it's a left to right process, and it's pretty unique. And that's why BAR gets social emotional outcomes, which is really all the left-hand side of this chart is social emotional outcomes. And those lead to the academic outcomes. So pretty cool. And AIR did a really good job of putting this onto one chart so that it was understandable. All right, with that, I'm going to pass it off to Beth.
Awesome. Thanks, Rob. So one of the things we really want to touch on is that BAR being a K-12 model, a key component of it is that we really truly believe that building relationships with understanding each student as a learner and as a person. So we really want to make sure we're looking at each student as a whole child, and we want to make sure that we are always using a strength-based approach when we are looking at who they are and what they bring and how we can best support them. One of the tools that Rob mentioned was our SEL curriculum, which at the secondary level is called iTimes, and at the elementary level is called UTimes. The SEL curriculum is designed to have one 30-minute lesson a week to do with the students. It focuses on facilitating relationships and community within the classroom. And it's a little different than other SEL curriculums in that it's not instructional in nature, but it really is supposed to be approached as a facilitated activity so that the teachers are sharing and learning at the same time that the students are. And there is a chance for everyone to really share who they are, discover commonalities, improve on communication and relationship skills. At the elementary level, we also really are going to be leaning into a literacy piece and making sure that we are adding additional literacy outcomes, as well as we really want to make sure that the teachers are using these lessons to gather qualitative data about their students. So we're going to have outlined in the lessons some specific qualitative data questions that the teacher can be looking for. For example, is there a student who was very not engaged? If we are doing an activity on commonalities, did I notice that the student was not having many commonalities or connections with other people in the staff? If we're doing a relationship about identifying adults in our lives that give us support and strength, and that student is not being able to easily identify that, that's all really important information that helps define and show me who that child is and who that student is, not just as an academic learner, but what is going on in their life and how I can best support and share those qualities with other people on staff. So we really are having an all hands on deck approach to supporting our students. So BAR is based on two pillars. We are going to be looking at relationships, and we're going to be looking at data. And as I said, when we're looking at data, we're going to be looking at not only real-time quantitative data, but really real-time qualitative data. And we really want to make sure that we are putting emphasis on both so that we are supporting the students in the best that we can. In terms of quantitative and qualitative, you can look at that grades are a great indicator of how a student is doing, but if you just look at grades, you're going to miss a lot of things. You might miss social changes. You might miss friendship group changes. You might not be paying attention to attendance or their health. All of a sudden, a student is getting too skinny. it's like a puzzle. And when everybody holds a piece to the puzzle, the BAR model is an opportunity for people to share all those pieces together in a collaborative environment, so that we are seeing the whole picture, the whole puzzle of the child, to make sure that not anyone is holding a key piece of information that would be relevant in terms of helping to support and understanding what's going on with that student. For relationships, we really lean into building strength-based intentional relationships. So we really are going to be looking at staff. Staff tends to be very siloed in their approach, often in terms of their instruction and their time in the school. So we're going to be really looking at building some of those collaborative, meaningful relationships, staff to staff, so that we are working collaboratively as a team and communicating, so that we have a multi-hands, multi-views approach in terms of how we are working together and how we are supporting students. We want to look at our staff to student relationships. Where are the students' connections? Who has the student connected with well on staff? What tools and what am I doing to create that relationship and to get to know that student more than just as an academic learner in my class, but who is that student and what are the strengths and gifts that they are bringing to the table? And then finally, we're looking at that student to student, making sure that we're having a sharing of commonalities, as I said, developing those relationships and really creating that community-based approach. And then also always looking at our family partnership. How are we engaging and making sure that the families are an active partner in the child's education, and making sure that this is a full approach to helping to support the student. BAR is unique in the learning landscape. One of the validators that Rob had mentioned was we are in evidence for ESSA. We are listed there 5 times. We are in the meeting evidence for ESSA requirements for strong evidence 2 times, 1 time in math for all, 1 time in math for struggling learners, 2 times in reading, reading for all and reading for struggling learners, and then 1 time for SEL. And I always find that this is a really interesting component in that we don't provide a math curriculum, we don't provide a language arts curriculum, but the model and the structure that the BAR model does supply is tools to be able to show improvement in all of these components of your school. And as Rob said before, we don't come in and say, well, you need to use this curriculum and you just need to not do this anymore. But we look at individually each school, what are you doing? What is working well? How can we continue to make that thrive? And where are areas that you are finding holes or that you would like to have more strengths and connections there? And we work with you individually to make each school a stronger, more collaborative, efficient system in terms of how you are functioning as a staff and as a community. Candace.
Thank you, Beth. So as it says here on this slide, that BAR believes that not only is education a right, but success in education is a right. And we firmly believe that across our network of schools. As Rob mentioned, we have a tremendous network of schools, and it has been proven through K through 12 grade levels. And we've seen this system evolve from one school in Minnesota to now over 200 schools that have been served in 21 states, impacting well over actually 200,000 students and counting. Those numbers have actually been updated. So we are really proud of our accomplishments. And I just want to take a moment to also go back to what our network really looks like at the school level. So we do provide professional development opportunities for not only just the school site coordinator, but the admin team as well. So what does that look like? Well, each month for BAR coordinators, we provide what we call a PLC. And within that opportunity, we address different strategies that can be implemented within the school. Also, we may bring on guest speakers from within our network of schools that can also share their best practices, and we also deliver materials virtually to the attendees. likewise with the Principal PLC, it's an opportunity for principals to network within their own environments as well, virtually, as and be able to collaborate and problem solve. One prime example of that, we are looking forward to our November PLC, in which both bar coordinators and principals have an opportunity to sit together and identify different things that can be implemented across the board. So we're really looking forward to that. But these opportunities provide a very supportive and safe environment for collaboration. So when we think about improved school culture and climate, I can, go back to experiences as being a direct bar coach to schools, and then also thinking about transformation and seeing that improving with culture and climate. And we can look at student motivation and engagement from staff to staff and staff to student. So as the old saying goes, when a student knows that you care about them as a person, they will work hard for you. So in my role as manager of schools, as I said earlier, I do directly support and provide opportunities for collaboration amongst coaches and mentors that you would be privy to work with as well. But prior to that, in working as a regional manager and a coach, I've had the opportunity of looking at schools directly and providing direct support on a weekly, really unlimited basis to schools. And so I would always hear how prioritizing staff to staff relationships has improved schools' culture. And also as educators, we know that it is critical to build relationships just in time for staff to really get ingrained in what it really means to work as a team. And also to understand the needs of not only the students, but what may also be impacting the community as the school develops. So with that said, I did want to address one small example of a school that I did work with in Chicago, where the team had a really difficult time of addressing the whole student emphasis. And teachers and staff were really looking for extraordinary examples and strategies on how to consistently revise particular interventions for struggling students by meeting them on their needs. And so during their meetings, they were able to focus on identifying strengths, as well as goals, as well as interventions. And by leveraging this opportunity, they were able to see a drastic increase in their attendance and decrease in failure rates from about 20% to almost nothing, 0.2% by the end of the year. And so it was really extraordinary to see this happen.
There is a cost to implementing BAR, and we're hoping that you will use the Chance Grant to fund the entire cost of implementation. The other cost that I wanted to talk about is cost savings that occur very often, in fact, almost in every case, for schools that implement BAR. When I moved from being a high school principal to a superintendent, I started noticing this and documenting in my old district how we were saving money. And these are just a few of the ways. First of all, teachers were more satisfied, and that meant that teacher retention increased, which saved us money. Student attendance improves in almost every BAR school. And if your money from the state comes based on average daily attendance, if your attendance goes up, then your income will probably go up. A big one is at the high school and middle school level, fewer students fail classes. That happens the very first semester of the very first year. And when fewer students fail classes, that means that fewer remedial courses have to be offered, which saves money. And the number of students who drop out will definitely go down, and graduation rates will go up. And typically, if students drop out at a high school, they're going to a different school, an ALC of some kind that tends to be more expensive. So the more you can keep your students with you at the high school, the more cost effective it is. Both administrators and teachers report saving a lot of time, which is also valuable. One of our schools in Pennsylvania told me before BAR, they had about 30, they called them code red, behavior incidences every year that are very significantly time intensive. And after BAR, they cut that in half. And the principal told me, oh my gosh, you cannot believe how much time I have back in my life. And then finally, students who fall behind usually end up in some sort of credit recovery or summer school program. And as those numbers improve, the size of those credit recovery programs goes down, which also saves money. So there are lots of ways that we help schools tabulate their cost, not just their cost savings, but their savings over time, every single year, forever and ever and ever, when they're doing BAR. And I live this as a superintendent. The next slide is an important one. We on our website have created some materials for you to make it as simple as possible to apply for a chance grant and get funded to implement BAR through that grant. On the bottom of this slide is our website, www.barcenter.org. If you add a /chance grant, it's going to take you to this site. And we have a lot of tools there for you, a sample of the application, the grant guide, and the grant rubric. But more specifically, we've actually filled out an application as if you were applying to fund BAR through this application. It includes the fully completed budget, all the written materials are there. So we've done it really for you, and you can just take that and borrow from it as you wish, and it'll make the application process really, really easy for you. I mentioned before, I think it's on the next slide even, our national conference. We've included money in the budget in this application that we've already filled out for you that would fund 5 people, I believe, coming to our national conference, which would be fabulous. So please go to that site, barcenter.org/chance grant, and that will help you and save you a ton of time. We're going to take a minute to show a quick video that I think will benefit for you. Tashina's going to get this going for us.
Teachers and administrators need a space to share, connect, and innovate to serve their staff, students, and communities. BAR stands for Building Assets, Reducing Risks, and it's based on relationships and data. BAR Center facilitates structures and processes to build relationships both within schools and between schools. We provide monthly professional learning communities, PLCs, for both BAR coordinators as well as BAR administrators for over 200 schools. These PLCs are critical in focusing on strengthening staff-to-staff relationships for schools with educators in every corner of our country. Rural and urban, big and small, public and charter, all our schools are connected.
The principal PLCs are a safe place where principals can be vulnerable and grow as leaders without fear of judgment. They meet and begin relationships with principals they would have otherwise never met, and they learn that they are part of something bigger. Together, these leaders learn how to ensure that BAR will be successful in their school. Principals share successes and also bring up topics that are of immediate need.
Principal and coordinator PLCs provide a time and space for educators to come together and share what is going right. Within the network, educators not only lift up the impactful work they are doing within their schools, but look forward to celebrating their successes, other school successes, and freely sharing the ideas for others to try. I can't tell you how many times I heard it said on these PLCs, I want to try that at our school. There are countless ideas that have been shared through the network that have been implemented in the classroom, even the next day, and have led to better results for students and for teachers. During PLCs last year, coordinators learned after one Minnesota school shared how they used qualitative and quantitative data to connect like never before with their students, while another school in West Virginia shared how they started using Zoom conferences to better engage families. The relationships strengthened and ideas shared throughout this network continuously connect, inspire, and transform an entire community of educators.
And here's our national conference. This year it's going to be in Palm Springs, California in April. And as I said, it's the best place to connect with other BARR teachers and administrators from all over the country. We have a lot of fun. We learn a lot. We get really motivated. And it's part of, we've included it in the budget that we've shared with you on our website. So I think that is it for today. Here is Tashina. She is the person that is going to take it from here. If you are interested in BARR, we're going to answer your questions right now, of course, but after this webinar, if you're interested in learning more, Tashina is our relationships manager that's covering your state. She's the person to reach out to. She will get back to you promptly, get you anything you need, answer all of your questions. And she's wonderful, wonderful to have on your side. She will make it happen. So thank you, Tashina. And let's just stop here and hopefully we can answer some questions for you.